Hello, hello, and a huge welcome back to the Learning Network with me, Kel Bell. Today we're going to talk about what you can literally do right now in your CAFS classroom to improve HSC results. Now, I'm not talking about necessarily that elusive Band 6. They're really hard to get. But what you can do very simply to get your kids from a Band 2, typical Band 2 level, to a 3, a 3 to 4, a 4 to a 5, a 5 to a 6, things that you can do on the ground in practical terms with your class, literally right now, if you're about to teach, or tomorrow in your CAFS classroom. So let's first of all unpack the very first one, and that's to be more explicit with your content, more explicit with your teaching. And what I mean by that is, I think we're really good with the content, we're really good with acronyms and the kids kind of knowing definitions. But I think the kids need to go a bit more deeper, not too deep though. They don't need to know the ins and outs of every single, reproductive technology for parenting and caring. They don't need to know every single legislation that supports families or supports a group in context. But I really mean to be very specific about what they're doing. So your content will only get the kids halfway. So if they have good content, and if they can apply and show their knowledge and understanding, then they're probably on their way to getting really good results. But it's not just all about that content. It's also about the skills of application. And obviously, as a HSC marker for 16 years, 5 of those as a supervisor of marker in New South Wales, I would see that again and again and again. The kids knew the content, but they couldn't necessarily apply it. What they also couldn't do that well was to see like a scenario or see a stimulus and then apply their understanding to some content. And what I'd love to share with you to get around that, to help improve the kids' skills with the content, is to expose them to different case studies, different scenarios, different HSC exam prep questions, assessment questions, that type of thing. Rather than looking at what's been done in the past and just give them those past HSC questions, it's really important that you use other exam prep questions that haven't been examined before, that haven't been in the HSC. Because the questions that they'll get in this year's HSC, in next year's HSC, are unseen. You don't want them to practice things that won't ever be assessed again, that won't ever be examined in that HSC. So I know that finding examples, finding exemplars, finding exam prep questions is always quite tricky, but I have lots. I have lots. I've written lots over the last 4 years inside the Learning Network, and there are a whole heap of different questions inside the CAFS Collective. I think also part of the issue is showing the kids how to break down those questions. We've spoken about Run Far, but really looking at that and going, okay, here's an exemplar. What in here is actually getting the marks that the kids are awarded? What part of this question is really where they're actually getting the marks? It's really about those 3 things: the knowledge, the understanding of that knowledge, and then the skills to show and to prove they know what they're talking about. So instead of really kind of going too deep with your content, I want you to be more explicit. So rather than watching every single documentary under the sun, every single American TV show that relates to parenting or relates to caring or relates to families, get rid of it. Take it out of your programs, because it's not setting the kids up for success. Things like Happy Feet, things like Finding Nemo, even to an extent, Pursuit of Happiness, Castaway, all those great movies don't actually link to community and family studies. So if you have those in your programs, find an alternative that is based in Australia. Find an alternative that is real life, not a made-up story. Yes, some of these are based on real stories. Yes, some of them are great stories, but find examples that really link back to the content and that are from an Australian context. So that's number 1, be more explicit with your content. Number 2 is to teach the glossary of key words intentionally. Make sure the kids know that each of those words have a different function. They completely change the question. When you have a look at past HSCs, past trial papers, past end of course exams in year 11, you can get some of those questions, change the glossary, and it completely opens up that question. I'd really encourage you to do that if you don't have a big bank of questions. If you're looking for a big bank of questions, like I said, inside the CAFS Collective, we have done multiple masterclasses on revision, multiple masterclasses on HSC content and exam prep questions and breaking them down and exemplars and sample answers. It's really important for the kids to see what it looks like for success. And for you to really teach those glossary of keywords really intentionally means to break each of them down, to show them that explain is very different to discuss, and discuss is very different to assess or evaluate or analyze or compare. So showing the differences, there are lots of posters available for you from me, but also in other spaces where you can give the kids the definition and then words to show and to prove in their response they're actually doing that word, because they're like a key verb, they're a key word that the kids have to do different things with. And look, I think if you're looking at like an 8 marker, quite higher order, 7 and 8s are usually associated with a higher level of glossary of keyword. If they don't even address what the word is actually asking them to do, if it's like evaluate, make multiple judgments in their answer, if they don't do that, they're probably only sitting at about a 5 or 4 even for their content. They have to explicitly use those glossary of keywords. So modeling it, displaying the words, breaking them down, giving the kids a step-by-step process as to when you explain, what do you do first of all? Well, you have a look at what's the cause and what are the multiple impacts, positive and or negative, of those causes. Like, what's that impact on that particular issue? It's really important for the kids to dive deeper with these and for them to practice it a lot, not just in year 12, in year 11, and all the way down to juniors, just making that part of your practice. And look, I've been talking a lot this week to CAFS teachers across New South Wales, PDHPE teachers, TAS teachers, and there are still many who didn't know about the significance of the glossary, who aren't teaching it explicitly. And if they're not teaching it, it means the kids don't know about it. And if the kids don't know about it, they're only setting themselves up for half marks, because the glossary is really powerful. Okay, number 3 to improve HSC results right now is to go and take yourself to the CAFS NESA website. So on the NESA website, have a look at the CAFS section, Community and Family Studies, and I want you to go to the HSC exams. Inside those HSC exams, I want you to go, feels like in a dark, dark place, in a dark, dark box. There was a dark, dark. Anyway, go to the exam questions and have a look at 2 things. Have a look at the marking guidelines. Also, have a look at the rubric. The rubric for the option is a complete game changer. And I say this to our CAFS Collective members all the time, and to kids that I personally do masterclasses with in term 3 and 4 with year 12 students in schools. And the amount of times the kids don't realize what that little blurb about wellbeing and how to structure their option answer for part C, the amount of kids that don't know that still, out of the 9,000 or so kids we have taking our CAFS course, is mind-blowing. That rubric means a lot, because that rubric tells you what the kids are marked on in terms of, and where marks are allocated for that 15 marker. I want you to go to that section on wellbeing, because that's a really big thing. The kids have to link their answer for the option for part C back to wellbeing. And if you want to know what that looks like and how you can do that with scaffolds and templates and structures and activities to help embed that, the CAFS Collective already has a number of masterclasses in there, a mountain of resources that is literally going to save you so much time. The other night, one of our members, our past members, said to us online, this is her exact quote. Helen said, "Your resources saved my life." And she didn't just mean that off the cuff. She was being very genuine, because I get to save your time. I get to save your energy. I get to save your well-being with all the resources. Now, Helen teaches out of faculty. She's an English teacher. We also have Nicole also teaches out of faculty. She's an English teacher as well. We have a couple of HESI teachers in there. And if you don't know it, you don't know it. You just are making it up. So it's really important to give you the resources that are going to make a really big impact with the kids. And look, at the end of the day, all the kids want to do as best as they can, most of them, in the HSC. The HSC isn't going away anytime soon. It's still what we have to do in schools in New South Wales. So let's make these small tweaks for some massive changes. So 3 things you can do right now, just to recap. Number 1 is be more explicit in your teaching. Obviously, resources are going to help with that, things that will make a big difference with the kids. Number 2 is to be intentional about the glossary of keywords. Make sure the kids that they know about them, exposing them to them, breaking it down, giving them templates and models and sample answers and coded answers and annotated answers. And number 3 is about the elusive, the game changer of part C in the option, making sure the kids are embedding well-being multiple times all the way through their response, positive and or negative impact on well-being in every single paragraph. And if you would love to know more about those 3 very big strategies and resources to help support that, doors are open to the CAFS Collective. And I know that schools at the moment, especially in the department, big overhaul, lots of changes with funding. So this is not a one and done workshop. We had that conversation last night. It's not a one and done workshop. It's ongoing support through over the 12 months. It's ongoing resources that have been developed to make your life so much easier. Like Helen, your resources saved my life. I want you to stay in the classroom. I want you to keep doing what you're doing because you matter and your kids matter. And this is a complete time saver for you, a complete game changer. So the CAFS Collective is open for Rego. Our mid-year intake is right now. If you would like me to have a conversation with your head teacher, your PDHPE coordinator, your TAS coordinator, deputy, principal, etc., please let me know. But you're going to join 80 odd teachers across New South Wales who love our course, but are also looking for resources to support their learning, but also the kids. Thanks so much, everyone. I will see you next week for our Lunch and Learns. We have 3 days left of Lunch and Learns. But again, if you have any questions about the membership, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks so much. Take care.